And welcome to another exciting episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. My name is Gary, and guys, I can't tell you how excited I am today. I get to bring to you none other than the icon. I gave him that label earlier, but he's an icon in the multifamily, Steve Wunch. You guys have probably seen him on some stage, some platform somewhere, but amazing, guys. Y'all give it up for Steve.
Hey, thank you.
Hey, can you hear him clapping for you, Steve? That's incredible.
I can hear it. Come on, let me hear it.
I love it. Well, hey, Steve, thank you again for being with us here today on the Super Fantastic Exchange. I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, thanks so much for having me, Gary. It's been a pleasure working with you on a few different platforms. So I'm excited to be on yours today. Steve Wunch, like lunch with a W, multifamily veteran. Next year, 2023, will be my 30th anniversary in the multifamily space, which is crazy to think about. It seems like just yesterday I was leasing apartments in Atlanta, and now I'm old and not leasing apartments, but on the supplier side. So, I worked my way up through the ranks from leasing to managing into a training and support role for about 22 years with lots of different operators. And then crossed over to the supplier partner side a couple of years ago, and love it. Love the opportunity we have to impact people's lives in a positive way. And I am super excited to be here.
I am glad you're super excited because I'm super excited. So this is just going to be a super episode. I'm just loving it.
This is going to be more energy than people can take in one dose, I'm afraid. So if you need to step back from the computer to pace yourself.
Right? They have to pause, kind of take a deep breath, play, whatever it takes, they can make it work. But hey, Steve, so I love that you've been in the industry for so long and you still have a passion for it. And I think that really shows your character and your love of this industry, of helping people, because that truly is what the multifamily is. It's helping other people, not only with homes, but everything that goes along with it. And I love your passion. And that's one thing that's always kind of caught my attention with you, is just your passion for what you do. And of course, who you are as an individual.
Thanks.
So Steve, I got to, since you inspire so many people, I always love to connect with those people that inspire to find out what inspires them. And so I ask you that question, what inspires you? And you gave me 4 super topics. And so I want to bring up the first one. And you talked about LEAP, your work at LEAP. Tell us how this inspires you.
Yeah, so, we step in and help people in a couple of different ways. Security deposit replacement is a product, it's not a big deal to some, but when you think about in some markets where it's, $2,000 for a deposit out of pocket, and to turn that into a $20 monthly expense that somebody can more easily manage in their budget, makes a difference for people. And then the other product we co-sign leases for students, foreign citizens, folks who just can't quite qualify on their own, even if their credit's not quite up to par or their income's not quite up to par. We step in as a guarantor and we guarantee the rent for the landlord. So we're helping the landlord mitigate risk, reduce delinquency, and then we're helping the tenant because they're able to attain an apartment that they couldn't otherwise do on their own. So I feel like we really impact both sides of the relationship in a very positive way. And, our mission at LEAP is to improve the financial performance of properties while making renting more accessible for everyone. And I think that is an amazing mission, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
That is so great. And one of the things, Steve, that I picked up on is you don't necessarily just talk about the product. You talk about the kind of the intrinsic reward from that product. You mentioned relationship, and I love how you go beyond just what that tangible product is, but there's a relationship that is built with not only the multifamily company community, but also the resident as well. So it's a win-win situation. So I love how you see both sides and you kind of get into that intrinsic piece.
I never look at anything that we do as a transaction because it's not. It's very personal. When somebody gets declined for an apartment, gosh, what a blow that is to somebody. And then to have somebody like LEAP say, well, you know what, maybe we could help. That really matters to me. And I've been in the place where I couldn't qualify for a loan or a credit card. And it's not fun news to hear.
Yeah.
And so for us to be able to step into the relationship and say, we can help, we can't help everybody, but we'll do the best we can.
Mm-hmm.
I love that opportunity.
That is so cool. And you're speaking my language, Steve. You're going from a transactional kind of thing to something transformational where you're helping other people. I love it.
Love it.
So the next thing that you shared with me that inspires you is your ability to make a difference. So tell me how that inspires you.
You know, I want to get up at the beginning. I get up at the beginning of the day and I think about like, how can I be a positive influence in this world? There's so much negativity. There's so much, you know, people are bashing each other on Twitter, and they're, you know, Will Smith smacked Chris Rock at I mean, there's so much anger and so much angst in the world. And I just think, you know, I want to be a voice of positivity. And I'm not Pollyanna. Please don't get me wrong. I mean, I do not believe that life is good all the time, and I'm not living in a fantasy world, because I've had a few rough years myself. But regardless of what's happening with me, when I share my stuff with the world, they don't need to know. And I used to, when I taught leasing, I used to say, you know, save the drama for your mama. If you had a bad day getting your kids off to school and you're in a bad mood, when you walk through the leasing office door, you need to leave that behind, because it will be waiting for you in the car when you get done. But you have the opportunity during your day to influence the lives of many people in a positive or negative way. And I choose to be positive. And I think that that's kind of, you know, where my head's at when I answer that question.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I think the key word that you mentioned there, Steve, is you choose. You know, there's so many things that is happening to all of us. And like you said, we're not Pollyanna, but it's a choice you make to be positive and to bring light to your environment, your sphere, the people around you, because, you know, other people are going through drama as well. They didn't save it for their mama, but when you make that choice to bring light to other people, it really does influence them and make a difference, a positive difference, like you said. So I absolutely agree with you, Steve. You're speaking my language this whole conversation right now. I love it. And then, so Steve, you also expanded that you love helping others. And so that's something that inspires you. You know, I'd love to hear a little bit more about how helping others inspires you.
Well, like, I, you know, believe that we're all put on this earth for a purpose. And, you know, I feel like I've identified my purpose as, you know, being a helper. I get so much joy from even just connecting people on LinkedIn, or sharing a job that somebody's posted, or, you know, helping my neighbor downstairs. She's 75. She doesn't know technology. Her phone goes out all the time. And I just, maybe it's because I've got control issues. I'm not sure, but it could be control cloaked in the guise of being helpful. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, if I can, you know, make somebody's load lighter, if I can provide a resource that makes somebody's job easier, if I can help my team and inspire my team in some way to do their job better or be different than they were yesterday, that really gives me a lot of pleasure. And I think, you know, it's kind of where I get my energy from. You know, the ability to engage and to help other people really kind of fills my cup.
Yeah. And I think that's really smart. And, you know, I'm going to throw out a word that I was able to connect with another very, very influential leader recently. And she threw out the word servant leadership. And the way she kind of talked about that is she is the example. She doesn't just talk it, she does it. And I think that's something that I'm seeing in your conversation, where you love to help people, not because it's your control issues, as you mentioned, but it's because that you have that heart that you love to be in that position to help other people. So would you feel that's kind of accurate?
Yeah, I love the concept of servant leadership, because when you're on a team and your leader is of that thread, you don't feel like you're working for a boss. You feel like you're working for somebody you want to work for, somebody who's in the trenches. I don't ask anything of anybody that I won't do myself. And, you know, leading out of the motivation to serve others and to build others up and to make others more successful. You know, being in a support role for 22 years, it's very rare in a support role that you get the glory, but I get the great pleasure of seeing so many people that I've, you know, shepherded during their real estate careers and seeing them succeed and start their own companies. And some of them are presidents and vice presidents of operations companies now. And I'm like, this is so cool. That's my reward. And, that's what motivates a servant leader, is to just, give everybody everything that they need in order to move on to whatever great things lie in store for them. And your reward comes later.
That is so powerful. And I love, and I think that's probably why a lot of people are drawn to you, Steve, is because you have an authentic heart to help other people succeed. Not necessarily before your own success, but you still have an authentic heart. There's not a competition piece to it. It's, you're there to support people on their journeys. And again, I believe that's why people just, when you mention the name Steve Wunch, there's probably, more than likely, they've heard of you. And then two, there's a positive reaction to it because they recognize your, authentic heart to help other people along the way.
My dad always said a good name is better than great riches. And, I never really viewed myself as an icon. I think I was at Optech and Ed Wolf from Leaselock came up to the booth and I went to stand up and he goes, "Don't stand up. You're the godfather of multifamily." And I'm like, oh, for goodness sake, you guys need to get out more. But I do love that you honed in on the word authenticity, because I think that's really what it takes. Mm-hmm. And I feel comfortable saying I am me all the time, 100% of the time. And this is what you get. And I feel that that's impacted my personal brand. So if folks are listening and thinking of themselves in this vein as well, like, you don't realize how big your brand can become. Melanie Trapnell from Gables stopped me at Apartmentalize a couple of years ago, and she said that to me. She's like, "You don't realize how big your brand is." And I'm like, well, I didn't even really think I had a brand. And then it got me thinking, and then I did kind of reflect and think, gosh, maybe I do. And I love to hear, not from a, like, let me toot my own horn or let me put a star on my forehead perspective, but just from a, like, what a great legacy to have, to say, when somebody hears your name, they think of you in a very positive way, and maybe it makes them smile, or they think of, how fun or engaging you are. That to me is just gold.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of honor, and, other people honor you because you are authentic, which creates a consistency of who you are, and who you are is just positive. And I think that's such a gift that you're creating that legacy for a lot of people to emulate in some capacity. So kudos to you.
Oh, thank you.
So Steve, the last thing that you share that influences you or inspires you is your Keynote platforms. I love that. So tell us why this opportunities to speak and inspire others on your Keynote platforms. How does this inspire you?
Just the reach that you're able to have in those instances is amazing. And, and the keynotes that I have are designed to just help people think differently about what they do. And if they can tweak it, ever so slightly and get a better result, or create a better experience for a customer, build a stronger relationship with someone, I just love that. And, I've been to keynotes and I've seen some that are great, and I've been like bored to tears at some. And so I hope that if you've been in an audience of mine for a keynote, that you've, felt engaged, and like, I want it to feel like it's personal. It's not just a canned, it is a canned presentation, but I always work to personalize it with the people that are there, and make it fun and engaging. And, I get no bigger pleasure than, at the end of a keynote, having somebody come up and say, "Hey, this really resonated with me. I think I can take this away and really make a difference." I'll get emails or posts on LinkedIn, a couple weeks, month later, saying, "Hey, this really worked. I really appreciate it." That again, you're investing that time now, but your reward comes later. And I think that's a very cool opportunity.
Oh yeah. And I love it. Again, just kind of goes back to, you helping others along their journey. And if you're able to do that through your keynote presentations or seminars or conversations with people, that's just part of your authenticity of who you are. And I love your connection and your engagement with the people that are just in your audience, and whether it's people sitting in chairs watching you and listening to you speak, or it's the people that you work with. I mean, they're all there and have an opportunity to really connect and engage with you, and hopefully you're able to impart some wisdom with them.
Yep. And I always say I'm only as good as my audience. So if a keynote has really gone well, it has a lot less to do with me and a lot more to do with them, because they inspire me, and I hope to do the same.
Yeah, that is so true. I love it. I love it. Well, Steve, we're getting close to the end of our time. I could chat with you for hours. It's just, you speak my language. It's been super fun to talk with you. And
fantastic.
Super fantastic. Thank you for correcting me. So I want to give you a chance to share a closing thought with us.
My closing thought would be, just remember who you are, what you bring to this world, the talents that you have. Use those talents for good. People are walking through your door all the time in the midst of all kinds of mishigas, and that's Yiddish for a whole lot of crap going on. So, you never know where they're at and what they're going through. And if you show up in a way that's, servitude, I'm here to help, I've got a smile on my face, and, make that interaction as positive as it can be, you could profoundly impact somebody's life, not just socially or transactionally, but even spiritually and physically, because, people are in trouble and we're here to help. And when we do it the right way, it just, you never know. There's an old song called Thank You, and it's about this guy that dies and he goes to heaven. And there's this long line of people who say, thank you for giving to the Lord. I'm a life that was changed. I'm going to get emotional. But we do that for people. Yeah. And it's important to remember that.
Steve,
that was unexpected. What am I drinking?
I'm telling you, man, that was great, guys.
It's true. You don't realize, if you're working at a leasing office, you don't realize how big of an impact you make.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I'm going to leave it at that. Steve, you drop the mic with that. Guys, really, I want you to, when you're watching this episode, I want you to rewind and listen to this last closing statement just one more time. Really absorb it, because it is, for me, and I'm going to go back and watch it again. It's extremely powerful in realizing the positive impact you can have, not only for yourself, but for the other people in your world. So watch this again. Listen to this last part. It really is meaningful and profound. So, Steve, thank you so much for bringing your 1,000% for all of us. We appreciate you. I honor you so much. And guys, thank you for joining us on this episode of the Super Fantastic Exchange. Go follow Steve Wunch on LinkedIn, all other social media sources. Steve, you have a website, yes?
I do, yes. stevewunch.com. Real original.
It works. They can remember it. Check it out, guys. Follow Steve. Listen to that last closing remark. I promise you, money back guarantee, it is going to be impactful for you. So thank you again for being here with us on the Super Fantastic Exchange. I'm Gary. That's Steve. And we will see you on the next episode. See you guys. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, Gary.